you got to work your job, work 9 to 5 on your job, and work 5 to 9 on your business.
Right.
Because if you have a job and you're paying your bills, you do this part-time, not only that, it's more duplicatable because most people are going to start part-time. Then eventually, once you get traction, and I think one of the mistakes in that industry that a lot of people make is they think it's going to happen faster than it is. You experienced this with your career in the entertainment industry. It took a lot of years before you had these breakthroughs.
Oh, a lot of years.
That's just the nature of business. That's the nature of success.
No one came up to me in the mall and went, you.
Exactly.
So anyway, yeah, Star Trek definitely changed my life. I mean, the house we sit in right now is known affectionately as the house that Trek built.
Crew's response was unacceptable. 38% of them failed to report to their stations. Critical systems haven't been secured. I haven't even heard from engineering. Shut up that damn noise!
I used to love the moment where I'd have the sides in my hand, and it might be like, 5-6 pages. And I'd go, do you know, I think I know this.
Wow, nice, nice.
And they'd go, and then it's first night. And
That's awesome.
You just roll.
Hey guys, welcome to the Driven Not Given podcast. And today we are in this beautiful home with my new friend, Dominic Keating. And I'm very excited to have you on here, man. How are you, brother?
Hey, thank you, JC. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
We met sort of oddly, didn't we? I was going to get my wedding outfit retailored by Art Lewin.
That's right.
Who's quite well known in LA. And there you were.
That's right.
And he was late on account.
He was, yes. It's interesting because
I was furious.
Right. I was interviewing him, and then he says, "Oh, I got one of my clients out here, man." And then I was like, "Well, we could take a break, do your thing." That's when you came in and stuff. And shout out to Art Lewin and stuff.
I saw the cameras and I went, "I'm on."
Yeah, exactly. So to my surprise, you were like open to coming on the podcast. I was like, "Heck yeah, dude! I'd love to have you on the podcast."
Thank you,
so. Thank you for coming on, bro.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to know?
Yeah, well, a lot. So let's start with, obviously, would you say that you are the most popular in the entertainment industry for your roles on Star Trek?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that is, it's a juggernaut. I mean, I did have a sense when I got that job that things were going to change. I'd been in LA about 7 years and was starting to get, some traction, and I was getting recurring roles in shows that were shot up in Vancouver, that sort of fare. Yeah. And I did one big movie with Tim Allen, Jungle to Jungle, for Disney. That was a big breakthrough.
Nice.
And then I went for, actually, funnily enough, when I think about this, I'd gone for an audition for a guest star role on Voyager, which was the iteration of Star Trek before our show. And it had gone so well, and it was back in the days when everyone was in the room that was going to give you the job and sign off on you. And it was like, and I think cell phones had just come around, and I rang my manager and I said, "Yeah, we're doing Star Trek next week," and never heard from them again. And I was like, "What? What have you got to do to get a job in this town?" Anyway, it came to light about a year and change later. My manager rang me and said, "Listen, I've just got a call from Ron Surma, who was the casting director on that show. I think I've got something for Dominic Keating." And I almost was like, tell them. Sick guy.
Right.
Anyway, I went in and I got cast. It was a relatively simple procedure, one of the easiest. Anyway, the producer, Rick Berman, came up to me at the end of the first year. We were shooting this little two-hander episode, and he was very proud of it. And it was like a little two-man play in space, with me and the engineer, Connor Trenier, who's now my partner in the podcast I do. Nice. And he was leading Sir Patrick Stewart around because they were shooting Nemesis, the last Next Generation movie, in the stage next door. And that's when Rick took me aside and he goes, "I remembered you from that audition from Voyager. And we knew we were looking for a British guy to play this part on this show. And I had your photograph on my desk for like 18 months. I was like,
interesting.
You could have told me, mate.
Right.
Have you any idea what those 18 months were like? So anyway, yeah, Star Trek definitely changed my life. I mean, the house we sit in right now is known affectionately as the house that Trek built.
Nice.
And,
I love it.
Yeah.
And that BMW outside too, huh?
That BMW that served me so well. Yeah, it's not quite as flash as yours, but she's a lovely car. I still love driving her.
It's an amazing vehicle, and you've kept it up real good.
I have, thank you. Yeah, she's in good shape. She's had one respray.
Okay.
And but she still goes like a when I need to go.
Yeah.
Oh, watch this Tesla boy.
Right. Nice. I like that.
So, but yeah, Star Trek definitely was.
So tell me about Star Trek. So tell me about the first job with Star Trek and whatnot, and how that.
Well, our show was Enterprise, and my captain was Scott Bakula, and we were a prequel, which really interested me, to the original series. So rather than going further out into time and space after Voyager, they brought it all back, and we filled in the years when we were taking our first faltering steps into space with the Vulcans' sort of control and permission, and we were, this was real sort of, a sort of throwback to Gene Roddenberry's original idea of the wagon train going into space, and we didn't always get it right. And I played the armory officer, Malcolm Reed, and he was a great part to play. He became a complicated character. And I pride myself on, the actors, you get a sort of 3-line bio of a character. And his mine was like, he's a button-down, stiff upper-lipped Brit, shy around women. That was a bit, I went, oh, fuck, I'll have to act that.
That's very interesting.
I don't know if you have to bleep me out, but...
no, it's okay.
And then I thought, God, this is going to get very dull very soon. And I started to let some of me come through the character quite quickly, within 4 episodes. And God bless, the writers on these episodic shows, they're looking for something to, grab onto and write for. And they started writing this quite complex character for me, and it worked out very well.
Oh, yeah. So they'll modify it as it goes based on what's working.
They literally, it's episode to episode. They're watching the dailies, they're watching the show, and they're looking for inspiration. And if you give them something,
that's kind of like how business works, right? You have to adjust, and sometimes on the fly.
You got to pivot.
You got to pivot.
That was the word of after COVID, wasn't it? Pivot. Everything was pivoting.
Big time.
Yeah, I've pivoted many times in my life.
Yeah, me too. One thing that happened in the sales world and the entrepreneur world is Zoom. Like, I was mad at myself for not investing in Zoom. It was such an obvious one, right? The world, kids are going to school on Zoom.
And Zoogle.
Right.
And Google. I begged my financial advisor, God bless him, he's passed now, bless him. He was a lovely man, a man called Bill Scanlon, who was also a top 10 tennis player in his day.
Really?
Yeah, beat McEnroe at Wimbledon.
Wow.
Yeah, he was really a wonderful guy, but very, very, conservative in investment, Yeah. And I remember when Google went public, and I was like, come on, Bill, come on, man. It's a household name, mate.
Right.
You Google shit.
Right.
And he just was like, nah, Dom, I don't know. It's it could just be another .com-y.
Wow.
I was like,
Hey, you live and you learn,
that
right?
one. Yeah, and same with Zoom.
Yeah.
I mean, you Zoom something. I mean, it's, I remember saying to him at the time, you don't ask Jeeves.
Right.
Sorry, guys.
That's true. That's
you
funny.
Google it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I have forgot about Jeeves.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: going back to before would you say that Star Trek was your breakthrough role, right?
Well, here in America, yeah. So I'd come from England. I was already an actor. I'd become a bit of a household name on a sitcom there called Desmond's, which was very groundbreaking. It was set in a West Indian barbershop in South London, a family barbershop. And jokingly, I've often said I played the token honky. And so part of the storyline was that the eldest son, who was a well-to-do bank manager, was prepared to invest in his father's flailing family barbershop, where mostly it was just, people coming in and having conversations and tea at his expense. He was prepared to invest in it to get the barbershop up to a sort of modern standard, But part of that was that he would bring in a young stylist to do all the modern cuts that apparently the old dad couldn't do.
Yeah.
And that's when Tony arrives.
You were Tony?
I was Tony.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and 80s show, you know, torn denim jeans, leather jacket.
Nice.
You know, real Fonz character, if you will.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun, man. I did 5 years on that show. Very proud of the fact that when Danny Boyle made that sort of homage to London and England for the Olympics, which was so they showed it at the beginning in the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Desmond's made the cut, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, this is England, and there we were.
What?
Yeah,
That's so cool,
I was
man.
2012. I was super proud, man.
That's awesome.
That show was seminal. It changed the face of British TV, and changed my life. And at the same time, I got a commercial for what do you call it? Isn't that Vidal Sassoon? I should never forget Vidal Sassoon. Do you remember? I mean, you might be a bit young, but there were Vidal Sassoon commercials that ran here in America at the end of the 80s.
Do you remember that?
If you don't look good, we don't look good.
Oh, I remember that phrase.
Then that was me, baby.
What?
And,
Interesting.
That really bought me my flat in London.
Oh.
And I call all the properties I own, I call for the jobs that bought them.
That's really cool.
That one's called Wash and Go. Out of respect.
Nice.
And so I was playing a hairdresser on this big sitcom, and then they rang up and said, would I like to go in for this casting? And I got this job, and they were going to try and pay me ordinary money. And my agent, God bless her, she was a smart cookie. She's like, no, he's playing a hairdresser on a well-known sitcom here.
Right.
And, he's not going to throw that away for nothing. So I got double SAG rates, and
Nice.
it ran for 4.5 years here. They spoofed me on Saturday Night Live.
Did they?
David Spade played me, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And you can find all this on YouTube.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah,
for
you
sure,
will. It's
bro.
hilarious. I mean,
I wonder if I could find this show. What's it called?
Desmond's. Yeah, it's you can find it. Yeah, it's still very popular.
I like to watch shows like that because I also find that shows from the 80s and the 90s and before were just more wholesome. You know what I mean? They were just more innocent.
It was a very good show, and it was just really real. And it, for the first time, it crossed over the lexicon. I'd be walking down the street, and two white guys in a white van would drive past me and lean out the window. Oi, Tony!
Wow, that's cool. How was that? How did that feel?
I'll tell you, the night it aired, and I was living in a part of town that was quite heavily West Indian sort of, neighborhood. And I used to walk down to Brixton Wreck to go swimming. That was my daily regimen. And the morning after it aired, I went down for my swim, and I was in the shower after the swim, and a bunch of school kids that were mostly West Indian kids were all in the shower. And I swear to God, the minute I went, "You call in Desmond's last night?"
What?
And I was like,
cool.
yeah, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Power of TV.
Humbling, I would imagine.
And exciting too.
Yeah,
it's we never had more fun. It was a live sitcom. We shot in front of live audiences.
Wow.
It was a really well written show. All the actors were really cool. Norman Beaton, who played the lead, was just brilliant. I learned so much standing next to him. His comic timing was just. Yeah.
So I get it. And that's one thing I talk about. I teach on public speaking all the time, and I tell my people, study comedians, right? Their timing is on point, right? That's what makes it funny very often. Your timing has to be on point.
It's not particularly what they're saying. It's the timing that they're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now you said that you were doing that in front of a live audience. So how does it work when maybe you mess up on a line? Obviously, they don't know what it looks like. So tell me more about that.
It's you've kind of messed up when you mess up a line. We rehearsed for 4 days a week. I can't remember really. Usually, because there were about 6 or 7 or 8 of us, and sometimes in the barbershop set, which was quite small, it was a ballet. You have to when you had to hit your mark, you couldn't go 2 inches over that mark.
Wow.
Because then that camera that's shooting you, your nose is in that shot.
That's tough.
And it was tough. It was real. I have to say, it was a real training. There's no other job easier and harder than live sitcom.
Wow.
It's easy because the hours are not desperately long. It's episodic. You can literally be, at the studio for 16 to 18 hours.
I've heard.
And, you can start a scene at 5 to 4 in the morning. And
Interesting.
Particularly on a Friday night. And you're driving out of the studio at, 8:30 on Saturday morning because they don't have to pay you. There's no overtime after that, and they don't have to pay you the turnaround for the next, because now it's Monday.
Wow.
The crew particularly, they don't have to pay them any extra money.
That's tough.
It is. It's all well thought out, mate. But live sitcom can be very demanding, and to get it right on the night. And in America, I mean, they have the luxury of shooting it often twice in front of 2 audiences. In England, they don't have that kind of money. They didn't have the money back in my day.
Right.
So it was one night, and you better get it right, baby.
Get it right.
Yeah.
So tell me about your journey before you had these breakthroughs. So you had a breakthrough in America with Star Trek, but then this is the breakthrough you had in England.
I guess so. Yeah, I'd done some good plays, and I'd won a little award for Best Actor on the Fringe, and I'd done a couple of things up at the Edinburgh Festival that got me really noticed with some big time names. And but I'm one of those actors, and it's in my blood. We were talking before the camera started rolling. My father was a salesman. And he's right there, actually. God bless him.
Oh, nice.
I'm about to get married, and my fiance found these. Well, I had these pictures, and because they can't be at the wedding, both my parents are gone. That's mum and dad.
Oh.
And her dad's gone too. So dad was a lighthouse keeper's son from Ireland.
Okay.
And severely dyslexic, and he came to England when he was 15 and a half. He got a job as a gamekeeper's boy on the Duke of Bedford's estate. I mean, he really,
Interesting.
he had his eyes shot out when he was 14 by some kids mucking about with a BB gun.
What?
Yeah, that's why he's got the patch
wow.
on. And but one thing he knew how to do. He was charming, and he had the gift of the gab.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he believed, and this is what I've always said, if you believe in what you're selling and you do have that bone in your body, it's easy.
Right.
You can transfer your excitement and your confidence in what you're proffering to the other person. And so I've used that to some, success over the years.
I was about to say that. That's what you do.
As well as that's what I do as an actor.
As an actor, right?
And, when you walk in that room, you own the room and you own the part. Things have changed a lot, definitely since COVID, because now it all goes on tape.
Oh.
They're very...
Even still?
Yeah. No, it'll never... things have... Casting directors don't want to have to rent spaces to have actors come in.
I see.
Yeah, it's all done on tape now. So I used to love that live experience of like, this is a live show, and I'm gonna and there's nothing more impressive than when an actor walks into a room and just nails it. Yeah. I used to love the moment where I'd have the sides in my hand, and it might be like 5-6 pages, and I'd go, I think I know this.
Wow, nice.
And they go, and then it's first night. And
That's awesome.
You just roll. As an actor, you're definitely selling yourself, but I've always looked for other means and avenues of generating money, because as an actor also, unless you make it to the hallowed grounds of, named actordom and the penthouse, you don't know when the next job's coming. And
exactly.
I've definitely been a jobbing actor all of my life, JC. I had a couple of near breakthroughs where I was gonna get into the, over the velvet rope, as it were. Right. And I can name the actors that got those jobs, and they all became movie stars.
Can you name them, or you can't?
Well, so David Thewlis, who's quite well known, was my first. I lost out to him. Paul Greengrass, who's gone on to do amazing, movies and like Captain Phillips and the like. He was making his first human drama, because he was a documentarian. He was making his first human drama. It was a story about a boy coming back from the Falklands War, And it got down to between me and David Thewlis, who was still, we were both starting out. Literally, I'd been in the business 5 minutes.
Wow.
And Paul flew me back from America. I was on a vacation. The last words he said to me when I went off was, don't get us, because I was coming to California, don't get a suntan. And I was like, okay. And then he flew me back early to see me again, and then gave the job to David Thewlis. And then, I shit you not, I mean, 2 years later, I was at a party that he was at. The film had been made, had quite a lot of, critical success.
Yeah.
And he came up to me and he went, Dominic, I'm really sorry, but I should have cast you.
He said that to you?
Yeah, David was good, he said, but he didn't have the vulnerability that you had, and I messed up.
Wow. Wow.
I know, that one
almost
hurt.
makes it harder.
That one hurt. And then there was, back in the day, Merchant Ivory, John Merchant and Ishmael Merchant and John Ivory used to make these Edwardian dramas from Evelyn Waugh's books. And one was, let me think what it was. It was between me and Sam West to play opposite Helena Bonham Carter. Was it Remains of the Day? No, it was Howard's End. Okay. And I know for a fact that Helena wanted me to play the part, and he gave it to Sam. His mum was a very well-known actress in England, and she was in the movie too. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
So that's tough to compete
that
against.
That helps. Yeah. And then after I did Jungle the Jungle with Tim Allen, his next movie was Galaxy Quest. And he brought me to the producers to play the part that ultimately Sam Rockwell got. And Sam had just done The Green Mile, so he wasn't nobody, but he wasn't known. Right. And I went in a few times for that, and they gave it to Mr. Rockwell. And
but you've done all right for yourself.
I've done all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I know that you're working on some stuff outside of the entertainment industry that's got a lot of potential. So I want to get into that. Yeah. But off air, you were also telling me that you've dabbled in different things, sales, even network marketing.
I've done MLM, multi-level marketing.
Tell me about that, bro.
Twice, twice. Okay. Well, the first time was Herbalife back in the 80s in London. And I had the button, lose weight now, ask me how. and I was in my 20s and I looked cheek. Right. And I used to stroll up and down the King's Road in Chelsea with a knapsack of, the product in my bag, looking tan and cheek and hanging out. And, and I just engaged people at coffee shops.
Interesting.
And I never really got a network going on that. That was more just me selling the product and making some extra cash. I was working in a restaurant. I was thinking about becoming an actor, but I hadn't made the ultimate crossover decision. And that went well. But the one that really nearly, and I knew the money you could make. I mean, there were people in Herbalife that were making, back in the 80s, I mean, I kid you not, I mean, they were making like £100,000 a month.
Oh, yeah.
If you get that network, that spider network going. The one that really was NSA water filters.
Yeah, NSA.
And I look, to this day, I still have a water filter on my...
That's interesting.
Why spend all that money on bottled water?
I love that.
I mean, it was, why are you doing that? Just...
we sell water filters and alkaline water systems, so I love that you just said that.
Well, the analogy is, I mean, if you're buying water basically with the cellophane still on it, which is chlorine, just you need something to take the cellophane off,
right?
Which makes the city water taste a bit,
right?
Just buy a water filter,
exactly,
and you've got bottled water for a fraction of the price,
and it's more
none of the plastic,
right? Because that plastic, people don't realize they're drinking that microplastic.
And you're drinking those microplastics. And, look, we've done 40 years now. And look what we've got. We've got an island the size of Rhode Island in the Pacific Ocean of plastic crap.
Right.
Well, great.
Exactly.
I nearly got a network going, man. I was this close.
How long did you do NSA for?
I did NSA for at least 2.5 years. And I had a network, and then I got an opportunity to go to West Africa with one of the castmates from that sitcom, Desmond's. He was from Accra in Ghana, and he just built this, big fuck-off house in Accra with the Desmond's money.
Right.
And he'd been nagging me to go and visit, and I finally went, and I left because, I hate to say that you need someone cracking the whip,
right,
making sure that your downline is still, until it's in place, until it's in place, and you've actually got, let's say, 15 really go-getty people, all doing the do.
You got to duplicate leaders.
You've got to duplicate leaders, and I nearly had it, and I just walked away at the wrong time.
It's timing, yeah.
And by the time I came back, they were all floundering around, and and then they were resentful because I've got a garage full of water filters I can't sell.
Right, that's how they did it back then too.
I know, and they don't do it now.
They don't do that now. No,
because that was. That's
not even legal anymore.
It isn't, is it? No, I know. I had heard that, and that was MLM's shady, side to it.
Because you get like some of these really older people that have $5,000 worth of stuff in their garage that they can never get rid of.
Yeah, really.
And that's not the way to do it.
No, it's
now
not.
It's like you sell a system, they send it to them, you get paid a commission.
There you
it's
go.
a lot
and
easier.
It's a lot easier. You're not getting people introduced to the silver level because you bought a whole bunch of stuff that now goes in your garage.
Right.
And now it's up to you to sell it.
Correct.
Yeah. That's and unless you've got that bone in your body, it's getting up every day to do that is
That's why we also encourage people, look, have your job. You were in Herbalife. I don't know if you remember Jim Rohn, if that name rings a bell.
Was he part of that network?
He was for a while, and he was a trainer for a long time, but I think he got to start with Herbalife. So he was a big network marketing trainer. He would say, you got to work your job, work 9 to 5 on your job, and work 5 to 9 on your business. Right. Because if you have a job and you're paying your bills, you do this part-time, not only that, it's more duplicatable because most people are going to start part-time. Then eventually, once you get traction, and I think one of the mistakes in that industry that a lot of people make is they think it's going to happen faster than it is. You experienced this with your career in the entertainment industry. It took a lot of years before you had these breakthroughs.
Oh, a lot of years.
That's just the nature of business. That's the nature of success.
No one came up to me in the mall and went, you.
Exactly. You had to go casting, right, and fail. Yeah. How did you handle rejection? Because I'm sure there were roles that you felt like you mentioned you nailed.
Oh, it's smarts. It's still smarts. I mean, I can't say it doesn't. I'm watching. I started out with some people. I'm just watching. Do you watch White Lotus?
No.
So my God, I wouldn't call him a buddy, but I've known him for 40 years. Right. Jason Isaacs is just now, just blown up. He's always had a career, but he's just blown up on White Lotus. And we we had the same agent. We started out at the same time. And and I'm like, damn, that was good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm happy for him. He's very good in it. And but yeah, look, I mean, there's no two ways about it, JC. I mean, I actors, I jokingly have said, and will say again, there isn't an actor dead or alive I'm not jealous of.
That's funny. So let me ask you this. Is there a particular time that you remember going to an audition, you think you nailed it, and you get the rejection?
Oh, and almost every time.
Mentally, how do you deal with that?
It gets easier. I mean, and you do realize, particularly for guest star stuff on episodic telly, it dawns on you that this is a crapshoot in many ways. There are so many reasons why it's not going to be you getting that gig. The director's got someone in mind. The producer's got someone in mind. The producer's wife's got someone in mind.
Got it.
There'll be a lot of other background stuff that you can give the best audition. You can nail it in the room. I've heard back in the day when we all used to go to the rooms, I'd invariably stand quite close to the door and hear what they were doing in there. And you're like, how does he even have a SAG card?
Oh, right. Wow, interesting.
And someone like that might get it just because of a look.
Right. I've heard that too. Sometimes they're looking for a look, right? But what about...
They can fix a lot of it in post, and if they can do enough takes, I've seen them sprinkle the magic dust in the edit suite, and you're like, good God, honestly, I was on set with them, and they weren't even close to being that good.
Have you heard the story of Sylvester Stallone, how he got his start with Rocky?
Well, I know. I mean, there was, God knows that talk about perseverance. I mean,
Right.
I mean, no one wanted to make that film.
Right.
And full marks to him. He is a testament to his own belief, self-belief. He wrote it for himself. I'm not sure how he financed it. I forget how that happened, because that's often a massive part of the tale.
They offered to buy the script from him
and cast someone else.
Cast someone
and
else.
He was like, no.
This is me that's supposed to play this, and they offered him a lot less money. But then it became what it became. He did as good as he did. So very interesting story. The details of that story are interesting.
He's an interesting cat, I have to say. I've got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
Same with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he's what an amazing story. Have you seen that documentary of Arnold?
I've seen a few.
Came out recently, about a year and a half ago.
No.
And it's he's a charming man. I mean, obviously he made a couple of mistakes with the maid.
Right. True.
But he's really a charming man, and just I admire his drive, and there was nothing that he didn't think he could do, and get him the governor of California, for crying out loud.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
no kidding. So, by the way, my wife and I are watching Prison Break.
I'm in that.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up. And we're into it, but we just started watching it like a month ago.
Right.
So we try to watch an episode a day, but we don't always get to it, right? And not only that, we have a couple episodes of different shows that we watch. But so I just found out that you were in Prison Break as well, right?
So second season, they did 4 altogether, didn't they? It was the one where they went. It was we shot it in Texas for Panama,
where they escaped. Oh, that's where we're on. We're on
that set was affectionately known as the Toaster, because it was so hot, because it was all corrugated iron, and it was in Dallas. Because I went to see the Dallas Cowboys. And it was baking there, man. I mean, it was a fun job. A lot of testosterone on that set.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, it's all blokes.
So where was it? Was it like in Panama? And
we shot we were shooting in Texas for Panama.
Got it.
And, it was fun. And I played this character that came in to cast aspersion on one of the lead characters called Whistler, as to whether the lead guy, what was his name? He used to go to the YMCA here in Hollywood.
I know his actor name.
The other one was Dominic, who was a big surfer. And
Michael Schofield?
No. Oh, God. He was a very good-looking boy. Anyway, Whistler had befriended him, and it was...
Oh, the young guy.
Yeah, the lead.
The lead.
I can't remember his name. Wentworth Miller. This guy Whistler had befriended Wentworth, and it was whether Wentworth could trust Whistler. And then this character comes into the jail he played him as a Frenchman, as I remember. And I say, I know Whistler from some other place, and that didn't match up with his story.
Oh,
And then I get
we're right around there.
It was Bill Fichtner who killed me in the end, wasn't it? William Fichtner, quite a well-known actor.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
good. I'm going to look for you, because we just started second season.
Right.
So I'm going to run into you. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, wow. And it's a really good show. So
it is. I mean, their problem with Prison Break is someone's got to be in prison.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
One of the brothers has got to be in prison. Which one is it this season?
I know.
And then they just kind of ran out of reasons for the one to be in. It got old. Like, it's your turn.
Yeah, I know, right? So when you tell me it's 4 seasons, I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder how they drag this out, right? And
I did another show for them. They did another one called same production outfit. Breakout Kings.
Oh.
So now this was a bunch of ex-criminals that knew how to get out of prisons, who now work for the FBI.
Got it.
Teaching the FBI how these people were going to break out of prisons, or if they did break out of prison, how to catch them again.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so going back to your days of casting and rejection, it seems like you said they're looking for sometimes a certain look, and everybody's got somebody in mind, right? I would imagine also the importance of networking, right? Because the bigger you grow your network and people get to know you, they might have you in mind, or whatever the case may be. So how important is networking in the entertainment industry?
I don't know what to say about that, JC. There was a time in my younger career where I actively try to befriend people who I thought would be advantageous to know. There came a point where I just felt, you know what, you either naturally have an affinity with someone and they happen to be a big time producer or a director, or you don't.
Got it.
And trying to fit a square peg in a round hole of friendship, generally, I just don't think it really works, and it's exhausting. And so I stopped.
Got it.
And I have got friends who, and I've made a couple of good friends. I did a little independent movie for a young producer about 3, 4, 5 years ago, and he's just about to blow up with his second big movie now. He's got Randall Kleiser, who directed Grease, amongst other things.
Oh, nice.
And The Blue Lagoon. He's got him to direct it, and he's raised all the money himself. He's independent. He's to the tune of about $25 million. He's a smart cookie, and he and I are very close and very friendly. And I think Zach Weckstein he's going to put me in this movie in a small part. Nice. But in the future going forward, I would dare say that Zach would think of me. Okay, good. We'll see. I'm a certain age now too, and we're not especially, fashionable in Hollywood at the moment. Cis white males of a certain age.
Okay.
They're not looking for me. And I'm not. If you're not the lead, and you're playing the second fiddle part to the lead, they kind of, and it's about time, isn't it, that the pendulum swings. It's swung a little far over to one side right now. Right. Where they just can't, they're going to put a black actor in, they're going to put a brown actor in, they're going to put an Asian actor in. Right. They're just not going to put a cis white male in.
That's interesting, huh?
It's long overdue. Right. I think the pendulum swung a little far over. I agree. Every scene you watch now on network TV just looks like the United Colors of Benetton. Right. And that's okay. But that is America. It is. And, look at us in this room. Look, that's true. There we go. This is real life. Yep. And for a long time, that wasn't represented. So I am glad I had my career when I did have it, because I think there were, I had an unfair advantage in many ways. Right. And now timing, baby.
That's right. We say very often that in business, like in real estate, location, and in business, the T in timing is more important than the T in talent. Right. It's true, right? So I think if you would have started your career around this time, you maybe not.
I wouldn't want to be doing it. I have to say. I think there's two things for people starting a career in the game now. You can create your own content. I haven't got my phone number, but that phone can just make a movie. That's right. And Lord knows people have. Sean Baker, who just won the Oscar for the best film, Anora. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is really. He's a smart cookie. This lad. He's made 8 movies, but and I wasn't aware of that. But one of his movies that caught fire about 6 years ago was called Tangerine. And he made it on an iPhone. What? Literally on an iPhone. Oh, man, let's make a note of that. On Hollywood Boulevard.
Tangerine.
28 years later, it was also shot on the iPhone, right?
Yes, and now films like that, when Soderbergh says he shoots on an iPhone, yes, it is on an iPhone, but it's an iPhone that might as well be, a professional camera with a crew. And Sean Baker literally went down to Hollywood Boulevard and made a film about transgender people on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard on an iPhone.
Is that Tangerine?
Tangerine.
Oh, and it's
really worth seeing.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then he's gone on to make Anora, which just won the best movie, and it's a brilliant film. Wow. He's the future of American film, I think. The likes of him. He wrote the script, and he's a smart cookie. I think the younger people these days are much more geared and less afraid to just make their own thing, and you can do it. Right. Write your own thing. You can shoot your own thing. You can shoot sizzle reels of your own thing to then sell. I don't come from a generation that did that. Our way of getting in was you went for an audition and you got the job, and someone else paid you, and
That's right.
That's how my sort of mindset was set.
Right.
Which I rather regret that I didn't sit down and write my own thing. It's never too late, they say, but
It's never too late.
Well, I know, but you get to a certain age, and
you also got other moving parts, right? So you got other things that you're excited about.
I have. We were talking slightly off camera before the cameras rolled again. I've been involved in a company for 20 years called QS Energy, and it first happened when a friend of mine came around this house when I first bought it, and I got these two cars on the driveway, one of which was that BMW and another one was a Jeep Cherokee. And he told me about this device that you could put on your car that would strip it of its emissions. And the company back then was called Save the World Air. And at that time, Ed Masuri, who, have you ever seen the Erin Brockovich story? The film? Albert Finney played the lawyer.
Okay.
And that was Ed Masuri. And he became a famous lawyer for suing PG&E for gross negligence in polluting the environment with that dreadful, I can't remember the chemical they used, and it got into the water basin.
Oh, yes. There's a movie about that.
Yeah, there
the
is.
Teflon stuff.
Erin Brockovich. It's called Erin Brockovich with Julia Roberts playing Erin Brockovich. So I invested my first 25 grand, that was a Star Trek money check, in this company. And so long story, but I'm going to cut it real short. So the Rand Corporation thought that this technology was interesting enough at that time to test.
Right.
Ed Masuri was the CEO. Erin Brockovich was on the board of directors. And I met Ed and I met Erin, and my friend came well recommended. It was already a public company. It was already trading on the pink sheets. And the Rand Corporation started testing the technology, and they farmed the device, the Gidget, that was invented by an Australian artist who loved old muscle cars. And this thing could fit on a carburetor. And something happened when the gasoline went through the concentric ring of magnets into the burn. So I saw it tested on a 70s Mustang at a 76 station in Brentwood. And they did the smog test on it, and Lord Almighty, carbon monoxide that was running at like 87-90% went to 0.01, like that.
What?
And nitrous oxides cut in half, carbon particulate matter cut in half. And it was like, wow, this was on the smog test. And so I was like, it took me about 2 months to go, okay, I'm going to do this. Went to see my financial advisor, Bill Scanlon, and he went, Dominic. He had one of those coffin chest filing cabinets. He said, open up that chest there, Dom. And I pulled it out, and it was just stuffed full of dossiers. And he goes, they were all really good ideas.
Wow.
And I was like, I still did it. Anyway, that got me in. Rand tested the thing. God knows, we went from the pink sheets to the bulletin board, and it went from like 25 cents to $5.
Wow.
I had 200,000 shares at that time.
Jeez.
I didn't sell one. And I was very new to this game at that time, and I didn't realize that the jump to the pink from the pink sheets to the bulletin board was creating this fuss. And we were just about to release the Rand report. They'd farmed the technology out to this man called Dr. Ranjao Tao at Temple University, who has done the most work on basically magnets and do they have any effects on fluids and blah, blah, blah. And we waited, and his report was about to come out, and this was going to go from $5 to $9. Don't sell now.
Wow.
And we waited for this report, and then we waited for this report, and we waited. And finally it came out, and we called it the Bland report.
Oh, man.
I know. It basically said it warrants further testing. Oof. I think Rand was scared because they do so much business with the oil companies.
Right.
And so what this technology, Dr. Ranjao Tao, on his own volition, was testing our Gidget, but then he went away on his own time and created the pulse electromagnetically And he thought, well, let's see what it does on crude oil rather than its derivatives like gasoline
Right.
and the like. And I remember taking that 3-way call. I know the date exactly because I was getting my first set of eyeglasses tested. It was December 23rd, 2005. I was sitting outside the optometrist's. I got a 3-way call with 2 of the other guys that were close to this, and I'd become quite, in the mix by now. And we'd heard that Tao had got the oil to move 13.5% faster through the beakers in his lab at Temple.
Wow.
And that's when I went, oh, crikey. It's not going to be the cars. It's going to be, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be for oil. That was December 23rd, 2005. So where are we now? It's 20 years.
20 years later.
20 years later, about 6 CEOs later, we've been through them all, crooked ones, you know who you are. Here's the thing. Do you know, there's a group of us that met at the early shareholder meetings, and we still have controlling interest in this company.
Really?
20 years later.
Wow.
Despite the fact that it's been, we've had to sell shares to run the company. Running a public company, as you're well aware, is not cheap.
Right.
You have to, if you want to post your financials and,
Yeah.
So anyway, right now we're this close to, we brought back one of our CEOs who we rather unsummarily fired about 10 years ago. Cecil Kite is back in the chair.
Interesting.
And he brought on board a guy called Todd Dumphy, talk about an incredible salesperson. I just met him we had a shareholder meeting for the first time in 12 years, and he was at it, and I just went up to Reno for it, and this guy is a smart cookie. And so I can say this publicly, we have press released the fact that we're about to sign a major contract with a Southeast Asian country. And we are about to do that. And
Sounds promising.
It is no small affair, and it is very promising. You can pick this stock up for 20 cents right now.
Wow.
We hit 39 cents about 2-3 weeks ago. There was a lot of flurry in the market, but the market makers, God bless them, these motherfuckers. It should be illegal. I think I think shorting a stock should be illegal anyway.
100%.
And particularly for any startup company, you should not be allowed to muck with their stock for at least 5 years. Otherwise you're killing ideas.
Yep.
That dossier, that drawer they were all good ideas, and they likely all got screwed. When they got to any market. The market makers just went in and killed them.
Interesting.
No one's calling the market makers up 2 minutes before the close when they sell it down 3 cents.
Right.
But if I do that, Schwab's going to give me a call.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you messing with this stock?
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, QS Energy, it trades as QSEP on the bulletin board. Go get this stock right now. I'm super proud. I got to say, I've been very proud of the stuff I've done as an actor, and I've had a 40-year career. I've never had to do anything else other than act for those 40 years. But this is going to be the crowning achievement of my adult life.
This is going to be bigger than any of these.
It's going to be so big, I can't even tell you. It's a moonshot game changer.
Wow.
To put it in perspective, the oil industry has been trying to move oil through pipes 0.5% faster for 60 years without cracking them because of line pressure.
Interesting.
They can't do it. They use these dreadfully toxic and expensive drag-reducing agents, which are basically paraffins. They mix the oil up with that so it lessens the viscosity. And then they pay for the privilege of pumping that through the pipe. When you hear about a pipe cracking, it's because they've mixed in too much because they want to get more to the refinery. Then they have to pay the refinery to take it out.
Wow.
Then they have to pay to pump it back up another pipe to go mix it up with the oil to bring it back down again.
Interesting.
It's an extraordinarily laborious, expensive headache problem.
And this solves that problem.
We are going to, at the low end, we're going to give them an increase in flow rate of 10%. And at the high end, on the really thick, really gungy crude, that's mostly what's at the bottom of these existing oil wells around the world, is the tar crap. I think we're going to increase flow rate by 30%.
Wow.
At the low end.
That is.
We've done real world hydrostatic tests. We have amazing scientists called Dr. Gallagher, Chris Gallagher, who's managed to get this to the hard part is taking it from the lab to the real world and upscaling it. And we went through some real years where we just couldn't get. We're putting, we need to put at least 15,000 volts through this unit.
Okay.
It's a vessel.
Yeah.
The oil comes in one end. It has certain grids inside that deliver the electromagnetic pulse, but it requires, it actually doesn't cost anything to run it, but you're putting 15,000 volts through this thing. And we just couldn't contain the electricity. It kept arcing out in the unit. And then the shutoffs would come in because you wanted to destroy the unit.
Yeah.
And that happened time after time, test after test. And there were some dark days there when it was like, oh my God.
Because you guys have been at this for a long time.
Oh, and now I was in deep. I was into the tune of, several $100,000.
Wow.
I own a lot of this company.
Yeah.
Anyway, we finally found a guy through one of our CEOs who was an oil man, just by chance was at a party at the Woodlands in Houston, which is the sort of, the Beverly Hills of the oil world in Texas. And someone said to him, "Oh, that's something like Chris Gallagher would be interested in." And the rest is history. And this guy came on board, and it took him a couple of years to figure it out. And now we have a working unit, and we thought we were going to have to test, but no, they're taking the data and the academia that he presented them,
right,
and the meetings that he's had with people around the world, and we're going straight to contract.
Interesting.
And this is about to.
So this is about to pop. It seems.
I think it's gonna. I honestly don't think it's going to take longer than 20 days.
What?
Yeah, get in now.
Interesting.
20
we got to get this episode out ASAP.
Yeah, it's literally it's at 20 cents today. With some of the buying dried up, and as soon as the market makers see that the drying's but blood's in the water and they're back in there. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Market Makers, you're going to lose your houses on this one, because you know what it's like. I mean, the chances of this penny stock company actually making it are so remote, right? Especially after 20 years. And that's what they think. They're like, well, it hasn't happened yet, and this is all more bullshit. Right. This is not bullshit. This is actually happening. Wow. And I know it's happening. And there's a lot of Porsches going to go back to the shop. A lot of kids coming out of private school. Right. Where are you going to live? No, I actually don't mind too much, because, I mean, they have messed with us for so long. They've been a thorn in our side. Yep. So.
Exactly. Well, no, listen, thank you for that tip, by the way.
My pleasure.
I'm pick up some stock.
My pleasure. One
more question before we finish this podcast. What are some of the top lessons that you have learned through your career? You've faced a lot of rejection. You've met a lot of people. You've done a lot of activity. What are some maybe one or two lessons that you say that you've picked up that you'd like to share with us?
And I heard Tom Hanks say the same recently on some interview, and it was some advice given to me by the producer of that sitcom I did, Desmond's, in London. Show up on time. And what he said to me, he says, when I say show up on time, I mean show up 10 minutes early. Yes. If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late.
I love it.
I love that too.
Yep.
Show up on time. Know your lines, in my instance, have done your homework and have some good ideas.
I love that.
And if you do those three things about everything in your life, show up on time, be prepared, and have some ideas.
This is very similar to what we teach.
It'll take you a long way down the road.
I love it.
And just keep on doing it. Keep on doing it.
Yes, sir.
And when you get rejected, I mean, as Edison said, when that reporter said to him, are you not just completely discouraged? You've tried 937 times to create electricity. And I mean, is there not a point where he said, young man, I am 937 times closer to cracking it.
That's right. I love that.
That's the secret.
Some sound advice. Thank you so much, Dominic. This was
JC,
awesome. Thank
been
you,
a
my
pleasure,
brother.
mate.
Thank you, bro.
Really has. Thank you,
All
guys.
right. See you guys on the next episode. Make sure you share this episode, like and comment it, and make sure you guys follow Dominic. His information is in the description below how you can follow.